we're supposed to want to have them for dinner. I mean, this kind of family no longer really exists. The way they speak, these literary affectations, they're performing the whole time, and that is deeply sad. But they are a product of a time in Spain that was horrible. It was 40 years of a dictatorship, and I think that's why it connected so much with Spanish audiences. As a film, that you have very few elements put together here, and he has managed to create a narrative, if you connect with it or not. And that to me is really, really fascinating.
One of the things I saw a lot of similarities between this film and your feature, I Like Movies, which I really love. And I was just like one of those things you were talking about, was the idea of comedy, right? There's a lot of moments of humor in both your films, but also kind of interwoven with moments of tragedy, right? And I was just thinking about tragedy and comedy and kind of how they go together, and as a filmmaker, how do you think through that? How do you bring these two things together? And why are these things always in conversation?
Yeah, I remember when I was at the Canadian Film Center, I would always write these scenes that I thought were so laugh out loud, and then everyone would be like, "That's really painful and sad," and I was like, "What are you talking about? I think it's so funny." Yeah. And I think for me, I don't know, that's just, maybe comedy's just always the way I've processed literally everything in my life, and something to me is always the funniest when it's also a little bit humiliating or sad or pathetic, or it comes with this deep undercurrent of pain, or the audience can see something that the main character can't, Yeah. So for me, I don't know, I always think those are the funniest things, weirdly. And yeah, I think comedy is just something tragic or dramatic, but with good timing.
Yeah.
Like a joke that it's just something that has an extra beat in it that makes you laugh. And I think those for me are always the things that cut the deepest or are the funniest for me.
Actually, little bit of Toronto lore here. Toronto film critics. They actually, the Toronto Film Critics Association, before I was a member, before myself or Adam were a member, they named Magnolia the best picture of 1999. And so this is the biggest point in history for Toronto film critics, for the Toronto Film Critics Association's history. Is back then we didn't have this big fancy awards gala that we have now, with all the ceremony and pomp. It was just literally they named their awards, and they would have dinner at the back of an Italian restaurant, and Paul Thomas Anderson and Fiona Apple showed up to that dinner to just hang there with all the Toronto film critics. So I always thought that was kind of a fascinating, his connection to Toronto. Also, I understand that rumor has it he Skyped into a class here once.
I think I'm the oldest member of the faculty president. I don't remember.
So it's just
that.
a rumor? Okay.
It could have happened.
It's true. There you go. Yeah. But so, PTA's connection to Toronto is deep.
First of all, it's such an important film in Jamaica and in the Caribbean and in general. And also because a lot of when I was growing up and there was a lot of storytelling, oral and written, that was very Caribbean, that was very Jamaican. So there was Miss Lou, there was Nancy stories, there was Jamaica Kincaid, Annie John was very, very important to me. But when it came to the visual medium, if I saw representation, it was usually American. And there's definitely overlap, there's definitely things that I can relate to, but it's not quite the same. And being in CSI, cinema studies, and being in your course opened in general me up to seeing film from different regions, and coming across this movie was really important to me to see it in a different medium. So I was just thinking back to my experience, my 4 years when I was here, and what movies really stood out to me, and this was one of them.
But here's the really encouraging thing, is that when I made my first feature for $25,000 in 1984, most of that was spent on film stock. right? So I think, and I've said this, and I really think that I could still make that feature the way I shot it now with digital technology. And it would look better, it would sound better. So it's like you just really don't let the idea of how films are normally made prevent you from like just telling a story if you're passionate enough about it. Like look at the two biggest Oscar contenders this year, like The Brutalist and Anora. They were made for like really small amounts of money and unbelievable production value because people were just super passionate about it. So that's what you have going for you at this point, is just working with your friends and, like even the people I was working with 40 years more, 45 years ago at the Hart House Film Board, there was like just a group of us that were using the tech, the cameras and the editing equipment they had there. I will say at that time it wasn't as competitive, like it wasn't like something that everyone wanted to do. And here's the crazy thing is that equipment that I was using was the same equipment that David Cronenberg was using when he was at U of T before me. So that's also was kind of like, oh, this is the same Aeroflex that he must have been using. So it was kind of, it's interesting. Like, given the fact that we don't have film production technically at U of T, right, still? But it's amazing, like there is this tradition of filmmakers coming through here who are studying other stuff or doing cinema studies, but using the energy of this place. And it's really a special energy, of course, and that's what we're celebrating. Yeah, yay U of T, right? So, yeah.